Hey, ladies. Hello. Let me get the mics. Hello, hello, Alexander. Hello. Hello. Happy Friday. And hello, Ralph. Wow. Hello, Colleen, Tyrone, Ron. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Happy Friday. Happy Friday.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday.
What?
Hello, hello. I was loving the intro music.
I know I always hate breaking in. It is kind of relaxing, and I like the little boop 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 boop. I wonder if they're going to change that. Is there a way to change it, or is it always the same?
No, they have a few different options, I think, when I've been doing it, I think. But you can't reactivate it once it's playing. Like, I don't think you can change it from
Oh,
that point.
it'd be nice if I could find like a list of like a user manual for spaces or something. It'd be really cool rather than just guessing. I still can't use it
Uh-huh.
on my phone. I haven't been able to. On the desktop, I haven't really successfully done that yet. But welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome. It's been a lot of fun this week. There's so much happening. It's hard to keep up. Thank you. Welcome to our weekly generative AI space, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Make sure if you want to drop something into the chat. I see somebody has been in there already. Hey, Chris. Um, thank you all for coming, and make sure that you use the emojis so we know what's going on. If everybody something is resonating with you, if you're happy, sad, if you can hear, if you can't hear, thank you. Use that. Put questions into the chat, and I'm going to let Taylor explain. I'm a little bit exhausted, so I'm going to let Taylor explain somewhat what we're going to do today. We're going to keep it a little bit
Yeah.
shorter.
Yeah, no worries. I got you. I know it's been a heck of a few weeks. I think for a lot of us, it was like after the summer, everything just kind of like blew up, and now it's hard to keep a grasp on everything that's happening. So we're keeping pace, but also, I think we all deserve a little time to relax too after this. So we are going to try to keep today's space a little bit shorter than normal instead of our usual, 2 to 4 hour time span. But in this time, we do have a lot of stuff to update and talk about, including, of course, some tool updates. And then after some of those tool updates, we're going to get into talking about some AI use cases, workflows, tool stacks. For like many of us who are here using generative AI tools regularly, we know that obviously different tools do different things. And it's not just a matter of being efficient or good at one tool, but I think being able to kind of layer them together in a workflow that makes sense for what you're trying to accomplish. And a lot of times, that's what's necessary for creating a multimedia project anyways using AI. So we're going to be talking about some tool stacks. I highly encourage anyone here who uses AI tools regularly to share what those tools are or share your workflow if you feel so inclined. You can do that on the replies like Heather mentioned over if you're on listening on mobile. It's just that little message bubble down on the bottom right. So we can talk about some of those, but we are going to share with some of the people here on the panel, what tools and workflows we're using. But again, this is a collaborative space. So I think the more information that we can share and the more gates that we can knock down to keep the information flowing between all of us is essential for this. And also, I know, Heather, you mentioned it, but don't forget about reactions, you guys. That just lets us know that, we're all vibing and having a good time in the conversation. Also, take a look around. There's so many amazing people here in this room, and always every Friday when we do these, so many incredible faces, avatars, anons, professionals across the map, creatives who are here. So take a look, see if there's some good connections to make, some people maybe you weren't following before. And then I guess the last thing before we get into the news is I know we didn't have a space last week, but the week before that we had a really great long one. I wrote up a recap for us for us on Substack, so you can go find that. I'll pin it up here on the top, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the post today, or sorry, for this space today I'll put something out, I think probably this weekend or on Monday, that's kind of recapping the big topics with all the links out to the resources, the tools, the people, and all of that. And Dave, I know that you're here too. Are you gonna be live threading for us?
Hello. Yes, I'm back in action and can share some stuff. And then, yes, I will tweet and I'll pin it up.
Amazing, awesome. Well, I think that's all the updates I have. What do we want to start with, Heather? Do we want to start with Canva? Has just been like crazy.
Yeah, I was, and I appreciate that, but I was just thinking about it, and I want to start with the GPT, the 4V, the vision, and the DAL, so we can talk about using different tools together. And I think that kind of ties together. So the GPT 4V with the vision and Dolly within Chat GPT plus. I'd love to hear how people are using it like multimodal within Bing Chat. I have not been using it that way, but I just wanted to like talk about. I know that Alie and Salma had written about that this week, and how they were using it in different ways. The vision and the Dolly 3, just having the capability. How has that changed for how you're using LLMs? So, Salma, you want to go first?
Yep. Hello, everyone. Yeah, so I've been using the ChatGPT Vision. So like I think it dropped like a few days ago. The first thing I did was actually ask it to direct a full-blown product photography shoot. So I was asking for it to stage like props and everything for Halloween and Christmas. And it was quite interesting because it actually gave me some very, very good ideas. I think it gave suggestions for like creating a dark and spooky atmosphere, having like captions for my social media post if I was to post that image on social media. And then also, I took it a step further and actually created these images using Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and also like integrating the products using my own tool. And then I inputted that image back into ChatGPT Vision and asked it to analyze and give feedback. And it gave pretty good feedback. Now, I wanted to take things a little bit further, and I went ahead a few days ago and I asked it to again do the same thing, but this time round I wanted to double check and see if ChatGPT has the creative eye. So I created a nice image, followed its suggestions, and it gave me very good feedback. So I thought, okay, well, why don't I upload a picture that isn't so great and the composition is off? Can ChatGPT Vision give me constructive criticism, feedback? And I came to realize that it can't. So therefore, I think ChatGPT is good for brainstorming, but I don't think it's great for giving you accurate information. It does seem like it was encouraging it was encouraging me to go with the image that wasn't so great. But yeah, I conducted that test, and it was interesting to see like what the results were. And as you can imagine, ChatGPT for Vision can only give you ideas, brainstorm, but not really good for having that creative eye that you need, especially when you're creating images with product photography, staging things, etc. So I've just been playing around with it in that way, and I think that's it really. I don't have the DALI integration yet on my ChatGPT 4, but I think once I get access to that, I will definitely test a bunch of different things around that too.
That was so interesting. I was reading through that. That was a really good experiment you did. Thank you for explaining that. And
Yeah.
that is cool because it was seemed like it was helpful some, but like it's not creative. It's not. It's definitely not going to
Yeah.
take away anyone's creativity. You can't worry about that.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, I think creative directors are safe. The tool isn't, as you said, it's great for brainstorming. It's great for getting ideas, but it doesn't have the creative flair. It doesn't have the creative eye. So nothing to worry about, I guess.
Oh, Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in about the ChatGPT progression with like brainstorming ideation. Is I've been using ChatGPT since the, I don't know, it's big pop like last year for like, I don't know, like storyboarding and outlining cinematic shots for like projects that I'm not as familiar with, like fashion shoots or ads or videos. That's just not my wheelhouse. But something is substantially different in four is, man, it is very good and very cohesive at like if you prompt it with a brand's information or exactly what you're trying to get out of a style, a shoot, whatever, it's gotten much, much better at cohesive storylines with voiceovers. And so the chat GPT kind of like, I'm going to give you a bunch of stuff about a brand, like don't do anything yet, just listen and tell me if you understand. And then, okay, now give me a voiceover and a shot list, and then converting that to a prompt for Midjourney, then going Midjourney to Pika. And like Pika's now controls with camera and stuff, like that workflow is crazy. Like if you work in like a marketing or you're trying to make something for a brand, like I've done some freelancing jobs and I've been able to turn around in like 72 hours, something that would have taken me years to make prior. I think ChatGPT is getting much better at cohesive storylines and like keeping it on the same brand theme or idea or whatever. So just a hat tip, because that's what like my last month has been. It's been really
Dave,
good.
are you using the code interpreter or just the straight ChatGPT 4?
No, just a straightforward, just like I'll take like a bunch of information about a brand, a style, a shoot, what I want to get out of it, like the theme I'm looking for, and I'll just like feed all of that in, and it won't give me anything. And then I'm like, okay, now that you have that information, give me a 30-second ad, line by line voiceover. I'll put that into 11 Labs. Give me the shots, the angles, the cameras, whatever. Put that into Midjourney, animate it with Pika, and then just kind of like compile all those together.
I kind of forgot that I had the code interpreter or the advanced analytics, I think it's called, or something like that. And I was using that today. And it's more like a co-pilot, basically, where that's the difference. It seems like to me, unless somebody has another way to explain it, but it's like having the chat GPT, the GPT-4, and it asked me additional questions or it gave me a little bit more detailed answer, like another example of here another way to say this would be like this. I was asking it for some prompts for my newsletter to generate simplified versions of something, so it gave me a lot more details back. So that's a thought too that people could use. And I know that it can also come up with the scenes and everything too, but with maybe a little bit more detail. It's going to be exciting.
I'm curious if anyone uses ChatGPT for, and I think it's called, I had to literally pull it up on my desktop. Advanced data analysis is what they've changed it
Yeah,
to, the
thank
name
you.
of it.
That's what I was trying to remember, like what's it,
I know, I
but it's
forgot
not
to.
code
Code
interpreter.
interpreter kind of ran off the tongue a lot easier,
Yeah.
I think. But advanced data analysis, as it is referred to. Curious if anyone uses that beyond, just like data analysis of, you. When I first started using it, I was like, oh, spreadsheets and data exports and things that I could, help extrapolate and synthesize from like almost like a marketing point of view. That's what I was using it for. And then I realized that you can also upload, like text files or rich text file formatted files. And recently the Terminator 2 remake project that we've been talking about, we had, I think, featured a few weeks ago. I'm working on a scene in there where I needed to take the script and I wasn't just going to like paste it all. There was so much in it. So rather than pasting it into, ChatGPT, I put it into a rich text file, formatted it the way I needed to, and then used advanced data analysis to have it read the script from there. So I don't know if that's best practice or not. I'm curious how or if people are using the advanced data analysis for anything beyond, just like data crunching, but for maybe like text and mood and all of that analysis.
Alie, please go ahead. Thank you.
This is just a very specific use case for the data. I still call it code interpreter. I'm sorry, it's just too much with the other stuff. But here's one specific use case, but there are many others. If you have an old slide deck, for example, this is something that I've been working for, it's a project, a long due project. An old slide deck for, let's say, for a class, for example, and it's not organized properly, it's all over the place, whatever. you can literally feed the PowerPoint to the code interpreter and then ask it to either extract just the text. I mean, there are many ways to do this, again, just like with any of the other ones. You can ask it to extract the text, and then you can ask it to reorganize the text the way that it makes sense and it flows, and whatever you want to have your criteria. Maybe you want to add something to it, whatever. You can ask it, is it logical? Does this make sense? Is it missing something? Whatever. And then it can suggest to add certain things into the slides or rearrange the order, whatever. Then you can review it. And if it looks good, you can ask it then to create the new slides for every single one of them. And then you can ask it to extract all of that, or, now crunch it together to a new PowerPoint. And then you can basically download the PowerPoint. So makes life really easy from that standpoint, instead of having to manually go through them. And then, of course, if you, depending on what the PowerPoint is, you could then literally use that or use some other AI tools to move it from there. But that is streamlining a process that I was struggling a long time, just manually trying to work an old 2-hour presentation for, something that is now a couple of hour job, really.
And that is a good use. I need that for something next week. Wow.
Yes, so there you go.
That is okay. And you were using that with the code interpreter, you said, or with
Yeah, so I specifically used the code interpreter because I wanted to upload the original PowerPoint in there.
Because that's the only way you can do that, right? Within ChatGPT.
Well, I wanted to, first of all, I said, hey,
You've been
can you
using
read
Claude.
this? I wanted to see if it could extract it from it, and it was able to, because first I thought, well, if I can just extract the text so I don't have to manually do it and then try to reorganize the order of things, well, then I'm like, well, why am I just asking it to do this one step? Because it can do all of the different steps, and then it can actually, print out or give me the actual PowerPoint file that I can then use. So, I mean, it just solved a lot of problems all at once.
That's so cool. I'm just thinking about how that works. That's so cool. Wow.
I had no idea that it would accept PowerPoints. Like, are there any other files that you guys have tried with it?
You can CSV works really great. I even downloaded my Twitter analytics, and then I just asked it a bunch of questions. And it works wonderful. I mean, obviously you can get the analytics otherwise too, but I wanted to look for something more specific. Oh, actually, I was more like testing it, but that was a good way of me just seeing if I just downloaded the file and then let me see what I get. I could do the same thing with Google Search Console. So my background is a lot of SEO and digital marketing. So, and not that, Google Search Console can give me that information, but if I wanted to do something more specific, then I can just give it that and ask those specific questions instead of like trying to maybe hunt for the information or whatever.
So, what other things have you all been using it for? Like, I know that so there's people in the audience who've been writing about it, but the different, like, if you told somebody what good is having it, what would you use it for the vision? And I know I apologize because we started talking about the code interpreter too, but for vision, what can people? I see people were uploading images and it was doing a variety of different things. Anybody have any good tips?
So I can speak to this as well. I've been doing a lot of tests with the vision as well, and then I can also speak to the voice part of about this chat GPT as well. But let's first focus on the vision. It does certain things, just like Selma said, it does certain things really well. It's great for brainstorming. Where else it's really great is some type of educational things. And I think even Robert Scoble shared some of this yesterday or the day before, where if you're walking out, anywhere, and even in a foreign country, you can literally just take a picture of a sign and you will know what it says. I tested with a sign that I found on the internet from Finland, and I specifically took something that had Finnish text, since I'm a native speaker, so that I would know if it did it correctly. I first asked it to just, say what it said, because it was like it wasn't, like a clear text, and it was able to read it perfectly, and then it translated it perfectly. So at least that test worked, and I did a couple others and it worked really well. But also, like if you see a bird or something or an animal outside and you don't know what it is, you can just take a picture and then ask it. So I could see this being super useful even for like education or in school. So if you go to a field trip and you take pictures of something, and then it can identify and give you pretty much any information that you want from it. And it can also do the same thing for food. So if you have a plate of food, you take a picture of it and ask what's in it, or how could you make that, what other ingredients, or give me a recipe. So it works really, really well on those kind of things. I did find that it was lacking somewhat in situations where, for example, I gave some of these, like the brain puzzle type of things. Like if you move one stick, and then make something out, it was not good at doing those things. And I had to keep guiding it and hinting it and saying, okay, here you, well, no, not exactly. Try this one. And then it's like, oh, okay. And then it still missed it. And, like one of the ones where they say 1, 2, 3, 4, or A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and find the mistake. And the mistake is in the word find. And he could not find that find was misspelled, right? So there are limitations. And just like with any ChatGPT or Claude or any of these things, there are still hallucinations. So I would still not 100% trust anything that you get out of it. And one of my favorite things is the human in the loop, meaning you need to be in the loop.
You know what? When you talk about the hallucinations, like I don't really see that very often, and maybe because I don't use it that often. But is there like a situation where you notice it more, like during certain types of questions, certain lines of or subjects that you would notice it? Because I don't normally see that.
I'm trying to think of what would be a good example. I've noticed it a few times in different places. One example I think I could get is specifically for example, SEO, or even like a Twitter. It's not necessarily a specific hallucination even, but it's more so that the information is not accurate. And it's probably because the, whatever cutoff now, January 2022, or whatever that may be, it's not what we have right at this moment, right? So if I ask it to do something in an SEO way or give me something for it, and I didn't have the knowledge of it that I have, it could lead me to add some wrong information because it's not accurate. So, again, not necessarily hallucination, but that's just not accurate information. So if you have knowledge of your subject matter that you are prompting, it's helpful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for clarifying. Yeah, I think people hear that and then I hate for people to kind of just run with that thinking like, well, it's hallucinating. But I just was wondering, maybe I'm missing something. But I understand what you're saying because I have had that happen where I couldn't use it because of it was just kind of not right. Not necessarily completely made up, but just not right. So
Yeah, we play around a lot. I work in a medical job outside of this fun stuff, and like there's a lot of stuff I put in there to like summarize articles and spit out some information or like give me recommendations like in the field that I know super well. I'm like, oh, that's not quite right. So I get a little nervous sometimes when people are like, I know there's like some crazy stories of people using ChatGPT to help them diagnose things and stuff, but like don't think we're there yet. So take that all with a grain of salt and use real humans who are smart.
I think though, as far as like with the diagnosis to for being a healthcare professional, I think I would recommend people like don't avoid it completely, but don't take it
That's great.
in
Yeah.
exchange for that because there is value. A lot of people aren't going to have the opportunity to go see a doctor or call or whatever. If it's a quick question, maybe. And just to give you like an idea, but not to replace the medical advice. And I think the vision too, that I was just thinking about, I wonder
Yeah.
if you could take a picture of a rash or a
Cool.
certain kind of bite and try to get an idea of if there are some features of that where it could be a bite from something, a spider versus a mosquito or something like that, or
Yeah.
a rash. Yeah.
And synthesizing a lot of data is actually one of the greatest use cases that it does have. So like there's a lot of times when you can like put a bunch of PDF articles, I forget the exact website or tool, but you can upload a bunch of like PDFs of research around the same topic and be like synthesize these things, combine them together. That's very, very useful because you can't read obviously 15 articles in an hour and then get a good summary of whatever it is. So that's a great use case.
Well, even the average person, like if you just happen to have your phone with you and want to like take an image, take a picture of something that just happened to you, a cut, like what do what's the recommendation real fast on what this might be, or what could I do? What's the first thing I could do? Even a first aid before you get a chance to even get to, call somebody or something like that. I hope that we can use it for things like that, or even with the voice activation too.
I saw somebody post something. I'm still waiting to get access to it, so I'm, dying of envy for everyone who has it already. But I saw somebody post a picture of their food that they were eating, asking like, what is the calories basically on this plate of food, and it went through and analyzed it basically, core ingredient by ingredient, and gave kind of a good picture. So I see a lot of use cases, both fun, but also that can genuinely help people. Like imagine if you are gluten free or diabetic or something like that, and you only have the plate of food in front of you and you have to tell. So things like that, I'm really excited to see more of.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I
And
Yeah,
substitutes
I
too.
also saw somebody posted an X-ray, so they had entered it in there, and it gave the diagnosis for or whatever they saw in it, and it was, according to them, it was correct. But again, there I would be somewhat hesitant to believe it. If I had an X-ray and I wanted to just to know more myself, I could do it myself. But again, I'm not sure. I would hope that it's correct, but I couldn't take it for 100%.
Well, in that situation where another way I could still see it is not, again, not replacing anybody, but sometimes say you get your imaging results or you're going to see a new doctor, a new practice, even for physical therapy, Dave, right? Just to understand, maybe you could just kind of in between seeing when you get an appointment or get a chance. Other countries, it takes forever to be seen. By the in NHS, right? Different ways to get to a practitioner. So in that meantime, maybe it could give you some peace of mind, or at least some idea of what the imaging results are, and what are typical things you might be able to do, or where you can give you links to some other information you can look at in the meantime. So I think there's still a lot of opportunity for just regular health type of things, where not to replace anything, but there's a lot of gaps in coverage for people, and there's a lot of barriers to access for a lot of different things, including mental health. But so I'm all for anything that'll give people a little bit more, empower them to do a little bit more to help themselves. Mauricio, you had your hand up. Hello and welcome.
Hi, thank you, and thank you for having me. Um, I would just wanted to comment that I think that we are still in a stage where we shouldn't be relying on tools such as ChatGPT to provide us with the correct information, though it does do that most of the time, and way more than like half the time. It's way above average, but it can still give us false information, as it is not really um, a tool that is designed to give you correct information. It's designed to give you like the best conjunction of words for the topic that you're asking it for. But of course, I believe that we will get there where we will be able just to ask it and feel confident that their answers are good, just 99.9% of the time. But I think that where it is actually the most helpful for us today, where it can be most productively used, is when you give it information and ask it to provide you with a better sounding version of the information that you have. Just to give an example for it, I frequently give it like 2 or 3 paragraphs about a topic, and then I tell it, I want you to take this information that I just given you, and I want you to craft a 1,000-word article about this, where the ideas that I want to convey, like the most, are these and these and this, and it will give you a ready article in a couple of seconds. And then you can read it and see if it's got the tone that you want or not. And you can actually just like chat away with it, asking for it to improve the text that it's already written for you. But it's all based on the information that you already have. And that, it takes you only like 2 minutes to kind of just throw it all onto the text editor, but it doesn't sound good, doesn't look good. It's got in a nice article form, but it's the information that you want to convey. And so when you ask it, when you ask it to treat that information and provide you with like a ready article that is geared towards people of like high school level, and that doesn't use very complex sentences, whatever, it will give you exactly what you want based on the information that you want, that you gave it, and it will be a very good uh, product, a very good result with information that you know is reliable because you gave it the information.
Yeah,
And
I definitely, I agree with that, and I use it in a way instead of like going for the entire article, maybe portions of it, and then kind of fine tuning it as we go, and sort of and then go back through with the intro and the call to action, even the headlines. Tristan, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, actually, well, not specifically that subject, but I was gonna say like just another use case of ChatGPT Vision that I don't think has been mentioned yet. Not that I've heard, but one thing I saw recently on Reddit was a screenshot of like a desktop posted where somebody was trying to install some kind of software and was asking ChatGPT basically like instructions for like what to do next. This is how far they had come, and they wanted instructions for how to complete the installation. Kind of got me thinking though, like of some other interesting use cases. You can imagine like maybe you're in Photoshop or something, and you're like, I have this image in front of me. Here's the things I'm trying to do. Like, what would be the next steps to maybe create, this kind of an image, and kind of see if ChatGPT can give you those instructions. I don't personally have access yet, so I haven't been able to test these things, but just kind of interesting what it could do by just doing like screenshots of your desktop.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't have access to it either, and I do have Dolly though in ChatGPT, and that is kind of interesting as far as like with getting sequential. I was able to get sequential images for like a schematic, which I didn't ask for, but then it made me think like, oh, that's a good idea. Like kind of get an IKEA style design. It wouldn't give me an IKEA style schematic. I guess people have worn that out. It said it couldn't based on the content rules, but it gave me like a sequential thing on different views of a like a fictional futuristic water bottle that had different features. And it gave me step like the first view, second view, third view, fourth view. And that made me realize like, wow, if we had something to upload to it, and that it could see with the vision, that would be really interesting. And I don't know if when these things are all, say when we have the vision and we have Dolly, how we can't use them all simultaneously, right? In Chat GPT. You have to pick one or the other, even for like the advanced analytics. I don't know if anybody has an answer for that, but yeah, what are we going to do with it once we have each one? How do you use them all together?
As far as I know, right now, like with the advanced analytics or the code interpreter, I mean, that is a separate thing. I could see that being meshed together at some point because I could see that you could run everything and just switch from one thing to the other. The voice can be combined, so I can get off voice and go back to the regular one and back and forth. So that works, but some of the things are not connected.
Because like right now you can't even do like on Bing, you can't surf the web with Bing and plugins at the same time, right?
That's my understanding too, yes, because it's a separate plugins, it's its separate little bucket, and so is the code interpreter.
Okay.
And so is Dolly.
Okay. Greg, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I guess I got access to Dolly and GPT yesterday, and I've been just going in on explorations. And what I love is how you can speak to it with plain language. I'm so tired of having to like prompt design in Midjourney, Sama, I appreciate the posts you've been sharing. I follow you fastidiously. Thank you again for sharing all the hard work you've been contributing for prompt design. But I'm tired of it, and I just want to be able to like speak like a human being to these things. And it's been really helpful. So I do graphic design work, I do digital work, and I'm on a project right now where I'm doing concepting, and the client has no assets. So I've been completely leaning on Midjourney to generate assets, and it's been taking so long. And so to be able to transition to Dolly and just speak plainly, but also follow up with revisions, really makes me feel more like a traditional creative director than a prompt designer.
How do you do that when you're asking it for ideas for the for they don't have assets? What kind of questions are you asking?
So the experience is based on a narrative from a musical artist. So there's this street in their hometown that they love, and they want to bring that street to the digital world and allow their fans to engage with that. But they have no photos, they have no drawings, and so the artist will talk to me about what they love about, or the story, the history they have with this specific building, this restaurant, this record store, and I'll just take all those insights and I'll just start talking to Midjourney about like Salma's guides, like lighting, camera angles, environments, things like that. So I'll often say something like, "Give me a close crop, AR 16:9 or 3:4 with studio lighting, key lights, etc., etc." And then I'll have to try my best to like tweak it based on the results, and that's a maddening. That back and forth is maddening. But with Dolly, I can just say, "Hey Dolly, can you switch the lighting and make it a little bit cooler?" And I don't have to like be very intentional with all my words, because what it's doing on the back end is translating my words into a better version, if I had a better language capabilities, and then it's rendering its own image off of its translation of my words.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. And that I found that to be true. I just got access yesterday and I've been kind of offline messing with that quite a bit. But it is interesting because, yeah, I think Ray is in the audience and he had written about this too. It doesn't necessarily say you give it a prompt, exact prompt. It doesn't use that exact prompt. It uses an interpretation of it. And yesterday it was saying, I kept getting messages back saying that it couldn't complete the results. It can only give me one instead of
Right.
four. I didn't tell it. So but I noticed that as it was thinking before it got to that point, I kept seeing four prompts popping up. And I asked it to, once it provided the image for me, I asked it to write out the image prompts that it used to create those results, including the ones that didn't generate. And each time I was kind of looking, it takes all these different interpretations, and none of them were exactly the one that I put in. So it does take it like slightly different. And I, kept kind of testing that out later and putting it into Midjourney to see what the difference was with the way the results looked. And it's pretty interesting, but you can think of like all the different, I use Describe like that now. That's how I get multiple, unlimited prompts for different images. And each one of them is going to be slightly different. They each have different words, and the way you can learn how to prompt yourself by looking at the way it's writing its own
That's
prompts.
exactly right. And I've found that aspect fascinating, to sit and watch it take my prompt and remix it into something that it thinks is more effective. It fills in the gaps. So I'll say something like a cinematic backdrop, and it will translate that to use tokens or words that I never would have thought of, but I feel like is a better description of what I'm looking for. So
Yeah, that's the amazing thing there. I just kept kind of looking like, wow, I've been trying to get to this point for so long with this type of image. But I did notice at some point, I put in a couple things and it was for something that I was working on. And I could not get it to create these certain colors for these images that this client wanted. It just refused to do it. And I noticed that it wasn't able to prompt itself to get the correct result either. It still kind of mixed up the results for some of these itself. So that goes to show that I guess it doesn't matter. Even with the correct language, certain things are a little bit harder unless you would use things, advanced tools, control net, and I don't even know like how to get the color or you post processing, Photoshop or something like that. But
I'm curious, Heather, though, did you try it on the DALL-E, just on the Bing or the image
no, no,
generator?
um, well, I have tried some things in Dolly, in the Bing image generator, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, you're right, that actually was more accurate than the Dolly 3 within Chat GPT.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But then it's more, you don't have any editing ability or upscaling or anything like that. It gets kind of complicated more on, I mean, it's great, but then you still would have to use something to expand that canvas, right?
Right. So yeah, so there's limitations, but if somehow we can have it so that it's all combined, it would be amazing. But one of the things with the Dolly, from the image generator with Bing, I noticed that it's so highly accurate with all the different details, which we've been lacking working on Midjourney for so long. And
Yeah.
I realized that my prompting has been really shaped, or when I prompt for Midjourney, it's shaped by Midjourney. And because I can't necessarily get the blue hat or white shirt. It's just going to give me whatever it thinks it's going to give me. But now I can get exactly that. So yeah, if we could now then get that specific inside ChatGPT, that would be amazing.
That's so weird. And Chris, you're here. I don't know if you're able to speak. I wonder, like, how does anybody know, like, why that is? Where it would be the way it understands a natural language from one algorithm to the other, and how it's interpreted, and how we end up getting. How does one give with the same prompt give you that result?
Hi, can
Hey,
you hear
Chris.
me?
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
okay, cool. It's my first time using desktop because it used to not work and it was only like from the phone. So I'm glad you can hear me. Well, different models use different algorithms, and usually if it's a multimodal thing like DALL-E 3, they do have a language model, which is obviously ChatGPT, and then there is an image generator, and it's almost like images are labeled, so in the training data, so they do use LLM to kind of understand text and kind of like use those labels, because they can also basically take a bunch of images and recognize what's on them, because it's like it's kind of machine vision problem that, for example, if you have like hundreds of images of cats and hundreds of images of dogs, and you kind of train it to identify how the dog looks and how the cat looks. So you can do the same thing pretty much if a person, say, uploads an image, it can recognize what's on it, and then it uses a language model to kind of understand images and understand pictures. But everyone uses quite different ways to train models. So that's why it's like text alignment is different, which means that when you write something and sometimes you don't get what you want. I find right now it's like Midjourney doesn't have a very good text alignment. That's why you can just like write any word and get something completely unexpected. And Bing is much better at it because they do have images and they do have the LLM chat part. So it's like language is better. It kind of understands and connects labels, and kind of the way it's trained, it understands it a little bit more. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. Man, that actually answered a lot. Man, thank you. The text alignment.
Yeah, I was like spending my last couple of months so deep into like language models and training and how all of those things work. that it's like I wasn't listening to everything you all were saying, but when you asked me this question, I was like, oh wow, yeah, that I was doing it a lot recently, and yeah.
No, I appreciate that. And do you have any suggestions for like what you would use if you do you have the vision yet?
Sorry.
Oh, do you have that chat the vision within Chat GPT where you can?
No, I do not. I have a feeling that I'm on some kind of a list that I always get all the things from ChatGPT the very last.
Yeah, me too. It seems like so. I was kind of like looking at everybody else. It's like I can't. I didn't have Dolly or the vision,
Yeah, me too.
and then
I
I got
didn't have
confused.
that.
Do you have Dolly inside?
I no, I absolutely not. I never had DALI. I never had a browser. You know the browser function people were talking about, and
Yeah,
then it was taken away. I was never ever given it. I never tried.
really. Are you? Wow. No,
Yeah,
because
I
that
don't
just came
know.
back recently, where I just happened to notice, like last week, that oh, all of a sudden you can browse with Bing again, and they
Yeah,
didn't
that's
mention
it.
anything about that.
Yeah, I only have the data analyzer thing, the code interpreter, and that's pretty much all I've got. But I was testing it in Bing a lot, which I love because it's free, and you can. The only thing that little bit frustrating that the images are always square,
Yeah.
or I have not figured out how to make them not square. I mean, of course, you can like use other tools to make them like.
Do you have to use that within Edge also, or can you?
No, you just go to Microsoft site. I don't have Edge. I only have
Oh,
Google Chrome. Yeah, you just go to. You know what? Let me tell you. That's the thing. I remember I was also frustrated. You need to go to Bing.com, and then there is images, and if you go to images, there is like a create function. So basically the website is bing.com/images/create,
uh-huh.
and then you end up on this site, which is image creator powered by DALI 3. And then here you can test everything and you can play.
And that's not the same as the Bing image creator. That's like a different function within Bing.com, right? It gets kind of confusing.
No, I think it's the same. Like it's this one. I'm gonna just send you the link to your messages, and
I'll
if you
try it out and see. Okay.
if you want to share. No, it's the same thing. It's like access to DALI 3 where you can test it for free. Um,
Okay, I see that. And then thank you. Um what
That's
have
where
you?
I've been using it, by the way, as
Oh,
well.
is it?
That's where I've been doing the testing. Yes, and it's free. I know that their servers have been probably just absolutely being inundated because sometimes it takes much longer, and it actually apologizes for the delay and said they're busy, but when it works really fast.
And what did you want to add something about? You were said have been using the voice. Are you able to talk still, Salem?
Yes. I have to go to the car here in a second to go drop off my kiddo. But
Hmm?
so I am actually really excited about the ChatGPT voice. It is only available in the app, but this I can see using a ton for so many different things. When you're out walking, when you're driving, well, don't do it while you're driving. When I go hiking, when I literally was doing this while I was going to bed. So instead of prompting Midjourney or something, I was having a conversation with this, male voice that I picked for the ChatGPT voice, which was hilarious. I mean, there's 5 voices you can pick right now, but it is excellent for brainstorming and dumping your ideas. It's just fabulous. I literally gave it like this huge long conversation about just business strategy, and I said I just want to brainstorm back and forth, ask me questions. You can keep redirecting it, shaping the conversation. If you don't like what it comes back with, you can just pause and say, not that direction. Let's take it this way. it's fantastic. It's really fantastic. And by the way, at the end of it, so after, and this was about my own like business strategy type of thing, a little bit of inside information. At the end, I said, based on what you now know about me, I asked it, what does it think that my personality is? Because I saw somebody else had done it. So for example, the Myers-Briggs, like, did it think that I was, whatever? And it actually got it pretty darn correct. So it was very interesting. And I am typically INFJ, I think it is, or TJ. I'm kind of borderline on those two, and that's what it picked. So that was super interesting. And not that I'm, super, paranoid or superstitious about these things, but that was fascinating and very interesting insights. But that was just like a huge long conversation about it. But then I can literally take any other subject, even if it's a marketing idea, if it's a social media idea, launch, whatever. It's just insane things.
There's so many potential. Go ahead.
Sorry, hi.
Hey, Marco.
Hey, Dim. Yes, I was just going to say, on the back of what Ali was saying, like I actually used the ChatGPT voice function on my app with my daughter who's 4, and we were just like coming up with a story, and it was like her and Sparkles the unicorn, and we were kind of just talking to this girl voice, on the app, and kind of iterating the story as we were going. And I was actually, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, oh, that'd be really cool. Like, so I asked it to like break the story down into chapters, and then I was like, can you give me suggestions for imagery for each chapter? Because I wanted to do the images in Midjourney basically, or DALL-E or whatever. So there's so many cool functions for it. One of the other points I was going to say, with the image dimensions, so the aspect ratios rather, on bing.com, the images /images/create, it's just 1:1, but within ChatGPT you can actually ask it there's 3 options, I believe. It's 9:16, 16:9, and 1:1. You can actually ask it like what images aspect ratio you want it to generate.
I've been doing that.
But I tell you, one thing I've found, and I think it's almost like it uses like a different engine or something, but like the one within ChatGPT, it like obviously rewrites the prompt. So if you put in, I was putting in a prompt that I'd use in Midjourney minus the aspect ratios and styling and image weights and all that kind of stuff. And it kind of obviously it rewrites it, and it's a bit of a boast when it writes. It's almost like v5.1 of Midjourney, where you could put in a lot longer prompts, which is very interesting because like you can literally put in your Midjourney prompt into the Bing version on the browser, again minus all the attributes and parameters and stuff, and it won't change it. But whether that's happening behind the scenes or not, I'm not sure. But I found that quite interesting.
Yeah, that is a good point. I noticed that too, because I didn't really realize. I thought it was keeping one of the base prompt within ChatGPT. I thought that remained the same, but then the other came up with 3 separate ones. So I wasn't really sure, and I started asking it to write the prompts after each generation,
exactly.
And then
it does show
eventually
you. It does show you them
it.
as well.
And because it like shows you, then it disappears when the image pops up.
No, I think you can, if you click on the images at the bottom, it will tell you what the prompt is to the right on desktop. I don't know if it does on mobile.
Oh, that's true. Like if you open it open it in another window, I think I hadn't tried that until like halfway throughout the day, and it like opens up in a kind of like in a separate window.
Yeah, like a modal.
Like most.
But I got really pissed off with it. I was like, look, copy. I want the exact prompt. So, but you can actually say to it, please use the prompt that I've specified, and it does it.
Oh, that's good to know.
I did that earlier.
Well, it also, I think you can tell it how many images to generate. It seemed like it automatically generated 4 images within ChatGPT, but I think you can specify whether you want, like 1 or 2. It yesterday kept slowing up because there were too many requests, so it might only do 1 or 2 anyway.
Yeah.
But Bing has actually been doing that too.
The thing that I've been doing, obviously, I don't know if you know the sort of stuff I do, but I like photography and print-based stuff. And there's kind of like a trade-off at the moment. So you've got like the super adherence with Bing. It's really accurate in terms of the detailing, and literally whatever you put in your prompt is kind of included, and it doesn't include random things that Midjourney tends to do. But what I've been doing, I actually did a post earlier this evening, and it was like about kind of acidic neon lighting and like dystopian landscapes and stuff. And I wanted specific things, so I actually created some images in Bing and then used those as image prompts in Midjourney. And that's actually quite cool. You can get some really good results.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I was using that for a project I was working on too, like trying to convince Midjourney to make it look like that, using that as the answer from the image from Bing to use that as an image reference.
Because
And
some of the stuff in Midjourney, like getting certain shot angles is really hard, whereas it seems really like just super simple in Bing. So it's quite interesting.
yeah, that's fascinating how that you would think it would work if it's still Dolly 3, it would work the same. But that is, and I do want to ask Mark, congratulations. Is congratulations in order?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Yeah. So my partner Chrissy had a little boy on Thursday last week called Xander, and he's so cute. Oh my god.
Oh, thank you so much. And you're still testing all this stuff out. Thank you. Congratulations to you. A
He's
safe
super cute.
delivery, safe and healthy for mom and baby. Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Congratulations. Well, Wiz, you had your hand up. You go ahead and welcome.
Hello, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
It's actually already in the triple digits over here, so I kind of hate it, but otherwise, things are looking pretty exciting in the machine learning ecosystem. I actually had some news I wanted to bring to some of you folks' attention. I took the liberty to pin at the bottom in the comment section this new tool that just came out called Simplet 2. And it is a machine learning tool specifically designed for musicians, and its intended purpose is to recreate any sound that you feed into it. You just drag and drop a sample. You give it about 2 to 5 minutes, or you can take even longer if you want to refine the specificity and the timbre of the sound. And yeah, from there, you're good to go.
I'm sorry, I had my microphone on. So that was for music. Let me get to that. I gotta go check in there real fast.
And Wiz,
Yeah.
did you say that you put it in the replies down below? Because I'll pin it up here as well.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and do that for you right now.
Yeah, or you can pin it up if you're able to.
I just did. But yeah, so this for those that are not musicians, specifically people that produce music using digital audio workstations, a tool like that actually is very revolutionary for two reasons. Number one, you can essentially remodel a sample on the fly, or you can chop up a specific sample from a longer track and then recreate that specifically. And then second is that you can essentially put together a sample pack, which predominantly producers sell online, and then create one basically on the go. And you can deploy anywhere that you see fit. It could be Splice, it could be whichever other platforms that specialize in selling music samples or sound design samples.
Cool. And it looks like you have a video of it too, so I'll have to check that out. Is it entirely AI powered and it just it generates the beats? Does it use prompts or how does it work?
So this is a machine learning tool,
Okay.
meaning it's been trained on a variety of sounds prior, but then what it does is that you drag and drop a sample into it. It could be MP3, it could be WAV, whichever. And then at this point, it's going to take it about a few minutes to process the sound you feed into it, and it's going to recreate it as best as it can. You can refine it over time, but the fact it can even recreate a sound from the jump from basically anything, it's pretty impressive. It's going to be interesting to see what the producer community in particular has to say on the matter. But based on the current interactions on TikTok, it's already had 20,000 likes and well over 5,000 comments and counting on several videos. So there's a little bit of buzz going on there marketing wise.
That's so cool. Thanks for sharing. I'm so like constantly impressed with the generative AI tools and obviously like machine learning models as well that are coming out of the music space right now. Curious if anyone has any recommendations for an AI tool that will turn just a quick snippet into a quick audio snippet into like a full song. That's what I'm looking for right now. I know that Tommy Berenger, if he's around, has my Traxy, which I'm playing around in as well. But I have too many funny audio clips. If you guys remember any of the like early to mid 2000s, sorry, early to mid 2000s mashup videos of people, saying one word on repeat. That's what I'm looking to do with AI.
Oh, so you want to like just kind of be on a loop, sort of, or just not to like generate more content from that, like to kind of take it further, just kind of like to repeat it a little bit longer, to extend it just a little bit longer.
Yeah, like even like vocal, just somebody speaking, like a funny sound bite of like 2 seconds, somebody talking, and it's like a funny word. And, like those, I would have to find an example, but you guys have all seen them, the early aughts of the internet, of all the viral videos of like one person saying something on repeat 20 times and it got millions of hits on YouTube. Like, I need an AI that does that now.
So actually, can answer this real quick. So the company in question I recommend you look into would be Serato, Serato. They specialize predominantly for DJ tools, but I'm sure they have something in their pipeline catering specifically for AI and whatnot. But otherwise, you could probably explore the subreddits that specifically catered towards VSTs and plugins. These are the keywords you should probably be looking for in terms of these tools coming out, because it sounds pretty simple.
Go ahead, Greg.
And Taylor, just to add another name to your bucket to pay attention to, there's a company called TrackLib, which is a music licensing platform that allows you to pay micropayments for little bits of samples that are already pre-cleared on their platform. And I know for a fact that they've got some AI integration coming down the pipeline.
Can you repeat that one more time? What was the name of it?
TrackLib.
Awesome. Noted.
And then the one thing I wanted to ask people about was the rumors surrounding Johnny Ive and OpenAI coming together to create a new hardware device. I don't know too much about it. I've heard the rumors, but when Alie was speaking about her experience just talking back and forth to GPT and the audio, and Marco was talking about that as well, it really kind of like piqued my interest because it reminds me about one of my favorite movies, Her, where he's just got this, Joaquin Phoenix just got an earpiece, and all he does is talk back and forth to, this Oracle-like character. And I find it really fascinating because I'm an interaction designer, and I'm so curious about how this new modal, this new Oracle, this new dynamic between people and computers is going to change the way we interface with the world. Just being able to like walk around and have a thought and hear an answer, I think is game changing. So I just thought that was really cool and wondered if anyone had any more information around that.
I mean, it might be that you have a combination of like augmented reality with voice, so that you can kind of interact with the voice assistant, or whatever it is that's voice enabled, and actually also have sensory touch that's augmented reality over your real world stuff as well. So that might be a thing. I mean, I'm really interested in voice as well, to be honest. I think it's like you said, it's the natural way, and it kind of transcends age as well. Whether, like, for example, my parents are a little bit, technology's so moving so fast, and like the older generation that aren't as familiar with it, let's say, or they're a bit slower. Like when you actually are able to converse with something rather than having to type or whatever it might be. Like my dad's really slow at typing in WhatsApp. It's like forever in our group, it's like dad is typing. I'm like, Jesus. Just speak, mate. Use the microphone, Geezer. So yeah.
Are you
Yeah, I find it
familiar
really
with
hard.
RePie?
I find it really hard to like see past the event horizon. So try to predict what the world's going to be like this thing called the singularity, try to predict what the world's going to be like after this stuff has become mainstream and it's kind of realized its potential. But it reminds me of this talk to the Oracle interface reminds me of and I find these sci-fi writers are really good at imagining, what's possible in the future. There's a book that I just finished reading. I'm now on the second of a 5-book series. The first is called Old Man's War, which is this idea that you could download your consciousness into a fresh new body and almost live on indefinitely. But one of the most interesting pieces of this book is that they've got this thing called the Brain Pal, which is an implant like Elon's Neuralink that allows you to interface directly to the Oracle, this system, and it, like the Matrix, will instantly download information into your consciousness. But again, like, I struggle to think about what's next. What are we going to do with all this? And so I've been consuming all of these sci-fi books, just try to get a glimpse of what could be possible, like open up my aperture a bit.
Yeah, it's wild, and things are moving so quickly. But then it's hard to. We got to remember that we're one of the small minority of people that are using these tools. So the rest of the world probably won't even be anywhere near there. But I do need to, so I can get the conversation moving. I wanted to talk about some of the other things that are going on. Like there's just so much happening. Canva just rolled up in here and dropped a ton of stuff the other day where I wasn't expecting that, but Canva just dropped all kinds of AI. They have generative fill. They have you can move text around. You can grab text off of an image and move it around and drop it somewhere else. You can take an image like a balloon, separate it from the image and drag it over out of the picture or somewhere else. Not just the background, but like you can take a specific image and move it around. So with all that happening in there, it's like I'm still discovering, because Runway is inside of Canva now through the Magic, what's it called, Magic Design tool. They have SoundDraw. They have Google Imagen in there. I was generating images with that within there. Now they do have limits on some of the generative capability, like with Google Imagen. I think you get 24 per month. It's refreshed, it looks like. So some of the things, you can't just go in there and generate whatever you want. And you do need to have accounts with some of these things, not all, but if you have an account, Hey Jen is in there, DID is in there, all these talking avatars. You can create the avatar, upload your own, or use one of the ones from those apps and go ahead and add it into your presentation or whatever you're making, social media posts within Canva. Has anyone else had an opportunity to use it lately or this week since all this dropped?
I have to just say I'm really into the magic switch feature. And I think it's also worth noting that Canva has been rolling these out, well, sort of in beta over the last, I would say probably several weeks, if not longer. I've seen them popping in and out of my interface because I happen to be in Canva almost every day doing stuff. And so I've gotten to play around with some of them. The one thing that I'm really impressed by is the magic switch, which basically will automatically convert your design into a different aspect ratio, and it automatically rearranges the elements on your page. So if you can imagine, you have like a YouTube banner image that you then want to, add to your like blog or your Substack or something else that needs a different, size spec ratio. You can do that in one click. And they had this feature before, but it was very manual, where you would do the click and then you would have to like move some stuff around. So when it
Well,
comes
do
to
you
like
notice?
repurposing, it's golden.
So how is that? Does it look like it's does it fit properly, or
Yeah.
you're saying this isn't the same as the like expanding it or
No,
changing
no, no,
it to
no. Yeah. So
still?
the expanding one that you're talking about is kind of like, like expanded canvas, like what you can do in Photoshop or like with panning, for example. But there's this it's called Magic Switch. And when you're in Canva, and I don't know for sure if the AI tools are available to all users or if it's only available to premium users.
I think it's both. Like
Okay.
all of them are, like, most of them are available for all users. Some of them, like certain features of them, are only available to pro. But I think for the most part, most of them are available limited.
It's
for
so, and
everybody.
it's amazing too that they have so many of these that are available to everyone. So when you're in your canvas now, whatever your artboard size is, up in the left-hand corner on desktop, you'll see this magic switch button. That's what it says, and you can just click that, and then you can resize your artwork to whatever sizing. So if you have things like layers of text and images or graphic elements and those kinds of things, you can sort of just click that button and it sort of all rearranges it to fit within the new frame that you've designed.
Oh, okay, I see. So that it it might even be kind of like dynamic. Like for, I
Yeah.
know Adobe Express has that dynamic, I think, ability for the text.
Yeah. Well, a great use case is like thumbnail images, right? So if you're posting content across different channels and you have a YouTube thumbnail that you want to quickly version into an Instagram reel thumbnail, and you don't want to have to manually, create a new canvas and do all this and move it all around and line it up. Just in one click, you can take your YouTube thumbnail, turn it into the correct aspect ratio for Instagram. You might have to tweak some things. So far, so good. I've had really good experience with it, and it seems to get everything sort of aligned. But some people have a very detail-oriented eye, which in which case it's you can expand on it a little bit. But right off the bat, one click, it's really impressive.
Yeah, it's interesting. I did a quick presentation, I made a little video where I just wanted to test it out and see. I think it was the magic design or something. I'm not sure, because every time you go in there and you click on something, you end up with a whole nother what is this? And it pulled up several of my recent uploads that I put in for the client, and then it arranged them. It just made a presentation, and I said, oh, and it asked what was the description about what you want to see, and it would only accept 100 characters, so you can't really be very descriptive. And it put everything, it arranged the images in the whatever order fit best. It added text, it created text to add to it, it added a music track to it. And at first it looked like it was kind of weird, but it actually went with it was kind of in the same um, tone as what it was creating. And you can even sync the beats. And I'm pretty sure you could probably do this on some other tools, but I just tried all that out, and I'm like, that was within a couple minutes. It only took me about 2 or 3 minutes to make a whole video. And then I kind of edited it. It even added my branding on it, because I had saved my logo within Canva. So it kind of just threw it on the back like it was my production. And I thought that was pretty cool. There's a lot of options there, and there's a lot of apps that were already in there that you can use. But it also just shows how many different tools we can use, that platforms where we already have this stuff, and we can just, there's so much more we can create with that.
Yeah, and Heather, I can talk through my my podcast
your workflow.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was just thinking that'd be perfect for, explain how you were able to get done with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So
within 2 hours.
I'll pin it up here, but basically, long story short, I was really crunched for time last week. There was a lot going on. I didn't have time to record my full podcast episode that I normally do every week, and then I workshop it with an editor and then publish on Mondays, and so didn't have that opportunity. So I was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna skip the week and then come back with something better next week. And thought, maybe it's an opportunity to just kind of see if I can flex some of these AI tools to the max and knock this whole thing out in a couple hours, including recording it and post-producing it and then putting it up on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. So I tried it. I actually used Adobe Podcast, which if you guys haven't tried that, I highly recommend. It's still in beta, but it was really a very clean, simple user experience. You can kind of edit and change around some of the content that you record. You can move segments or delete it, whatever. And also the best part is I think they have this enhance feature where it removes background noise, all that good stuff, things that I needed. So recorded it all there, exported it, ran it through Descript just to clean up. I dynamically will remove things like filler words, ums, ahs, all that stuff. And then, so by that point I had about 20 minutes. I I threw it into, I had 20 minutes worth of, good edited audio. And so I threw that into Zealous, which we've talked about here, Zealous app. And Zealous creates audiograms from audio. So it'll take, your branding and all of that good stuff, take the audio and then create a visual that has an audiogram, which is like the captioned words that you see kind of highlighted. And it does that automatically. So created a full-length video for it. And then I just brought that over into DaVinci Resolve. I added my intro card, which is like a quick intro, my end card, and I, spliced it all together, gave it a quick QA, and then published it. The whole thing took me like less than 2 hours. So it was actually a really good use case, and I think like kind of exercise in seeing how much these tools can accomplish kind of together when you layer them like that.
No, it's excellent, because I think Matt Wolfe had mentioned the Adobe Enhance here before, right? I think he's done some on his show when we were talking about favorite tools, and I hadn't had a chance to use it. So it works that quickly to clean up the audio.
Yeah, it does it almost like live, like dynamically. So when you're recording it, you can have the option to clean it up right then and there in the recording, or you can toggle the switch on and off, and then you can set the percentage from 0 to 100 on how much, AI enhancement that you want it to have. And you can do this clip by clip too. So you can change it if needed, like if you're recording in different places and need to just like match up the audio. It's pretty cool. And I think that it's available to all like paid Adobe Creative Cloud users. I don't know. I wasn't expecting to have access, but I have an Adobe Creative Cloud license. So when I went in, it shot me right in, and I recorded the whole thing.
Well, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Wow. Chris, do you have any other tips on things that we might be missing that we could use on different platforms, including Adobe? Like the Enhance or anything? You had something where I think you wrote about how to extend a music clip recently.
Yeah, I actually did a tutorial on Adobe Premiere. It's a video software, and I wasn't really aware of it myself. And then I learned from one of my coworkers how you can just generate music, like, all of those music generation websites like Google Music Alarm, which is free, and it generates something like, I think, maybe 30 seconds, maybe 1 minute or something like that. And if you need to kind of extend it, it's not like a looping sound usually, so you can't just put those, because then when it ends, you will hear how it kind of interrupts. And apparently there is this place in Adobe Premiere where you can just extend the track as long as you want, and it remixes it in a way that it's like seamless. And I found it really cool because I use a lot of soundtracks for like animations and for tutorials, for anything I make. And usually everything that is free is quite short. So I learned how to do it, and I recorded a short video a couple of weeks ago, I think, and I posted it. I will retweet it, so you will see it at the top. Also, not connected to it at all, not connected to sound or sound generation, but keep an eye on updates from Adobe next week. We've been working really hard on few really cool AI stuff that unfortunately I can't share until next week. But just like keep an eye, and it's a big conference. It's called Adobe Max, and usually during this conference a lot of like cool stuff is announced that we've been working on like in past few months. And I absolutely can't wait to share with you. I will be in Los Angeles. I'm leaving on Monday, and then I come back on Saturday. So I'm not so sure that I will be able to be at next space of Heather, But I will make sure to find some time and to talk to Heather before so she can update you all. And I will post on my social media some stuff, and just can't wait to share, honestly. Like, it's been so long. Like, I know stuff, and finally next week I will be able to share with you.
I'm so happy for you, Chris, because I forgot about that Adobe Max, so we can just stay. I'm never going to get sleep now, right?
Oh, also, I completely forgot to mention that Adobe Max, it's an online conference as well, and it's free of charge. You can all register for free and watch all of those sessions. That I will probably watch them online as well, because I'm an organizer. I'll be hosting. I will not have time to go to like 260 sessions in 2 days. So
What are you hosting? So we can
there
watch.
is like we have a community booth at the conference. So basically it's like it's a huge space. I've never been to this conference before. Every year I was watching it online. It's like they invite so many creative people, like very cool designers and photographers and illustrators, like from all over the world. And those people make sessions. That's actually how I learned how to do stop motion animation. A few years ago, I just watched one of those free sessions, and then I just watched the session and I learned everything I needed to learn, and it was free, which was really cool. So and it's a big space because so many speakers come, and then like in one part of this space there is like a community booth where if you are attending in person, you can come there, you can talk to me and my team, and basically like ask questions. Now there'll be some kind of entertainment, but I'm going to tell you all of that because I don't know many things that are going to happen. I know about like everything about announcements and all of that, but I also know that there'll be lots of surprises because I've never been in person. I don't know how it is different from online version of it. So yeah, it will be cool. There will be some cool AI stuff. That's what I can promise you.
Well, thankfully, in your wonderful tutorials, that'll help so that we can put it all together. I'm excited for that. And
It's just
congratulations.
so much. Like, I feel like I will make some tutorials, but you also, I hope you will all make some tutorials, because I think it's just so many applications that I can't even think about. Like, all my imagination usually is like about animations and stuff like that. But there are so many other use cases that, like, as soon as you know about innovation, just get yourself busy. It will be very easy to go viral, because like next week there will be so many new things, and you can just make like, I don't know, posts and threads and short tutorials, which I will not be able to make because I wrote a list of everything I could have done, and it's like a list of 15 things, and I was like, okay, I can't do it. Like, I also want to like have my last weekend with my family, so I only chose maybe 2 or 3 things. So there will be a lot of like material for content creators. So I'm super excited.
Thank you. And I wanted to ask, I see Emily here too, and I wanted to talk about, like, we talk a lot about Midjourney and how we're using that, but for Stable Diffusion, there are so many different things that we can do when we can't get that specific image, or different ways. There's different programs we can use, and I wanted to find out like different workflows. Like, how do you get started if you don't have Stable Diffusion loaded, or if you don't have like, how do you use Comfy UI and different UIs? Emily, I appreciate, because you wrote about how you changed that unicorn to look a certain way and how you were able to do that because Midjourney just refused to do it, and how you ended up doing that in the Stable Diffusion. with comfy.
Yeah.
I know that's a lot, but like that's
That's
an
a
example.
lot.
Yeah.
Where do you start? Hello, everybody. I almost don't
Hello,
even
hello.
want to talk about it because I'm sitting here like being like, oh, dang, that Canva conversation. I was like, I got to get back on Canva. Hi, everybody. Yeah, thank you for having me, Heather. I would love to talk a little bit about stable diffusion stuff. It is, it's a bit of a harder, I think, onboarding process using SD than some of these other things like Midjourney and things like that. But I really do like it because I love the control that it can give. Just at this point, I guess, versus Midjourney. So like, yeah, I guess like example of that is I couldn't get Midjourney to give, or we couldn't. I see Coffee is in the audience. I was actually playing around with Coffee while we were doing this. Hi, Coffee. We couldn't get Midjourney to give us like a unicorn horn in this thing that we were working on together. And if you guys don't know what Comfy UI is, it's a node-based UI that runs locally on your machine. It's free to use. You download it from GitHub, and there's a lot of great tutorials out there. I don't know if you guys know Scott Detweiler. He's a really good resource for that. He's got a huge playlist on Comfy UI tools and workflows and all this kind of stuff. But it can seem really scary at first. And look, I'm like not, I'm not allowed to say this anymore. I was about to say I'm not a smart computer person, but I'm not allowed to say that anymore because I am
because you are
changing my narrative.
Yes.
So, but I am Photoshop born and bred. I like those type of UIs. Like, I'm a graphic designer. That's what I've been doing for the past almost 2 decades or whatever. So when it comes to like node-based stuff, which is more, I think, on where people comfort zones who are coming from like 3D work and like game design and like Blender and those kind of things, not my comfort zone at all. And I don't think it's a comfort zone for most people. When you look, I'm sure, Heather, when you were looking at that post that I put up and you saw all of those just like little boxes with a bunch of spaghetti lines and stuff, it probably is like, what the heck?
No, actually, I like that better than.
Oh, you do like that,
right? So I kind of can understand that, and so I get confused with the rest.
Join the amazing club of them. I am not a part of that club, but there is a club. But I think if like Heather, like if you just went to like Scott's YouTube page, and I'll send you a link. He has like a basic like install and it's pretty easy. The Comfy UI install is pretty easy and it's pretty fast. And then what's nice about it is you don't have to build all of that from scratch, those workflows. The community is a great community and it provides so much. So people will build workflows. Like the thing that I used in that, I didn't build that. Like I'd love to say that I did, but I didn't. Someone else did. They discovered that if you input 6 images in this amazing workflow that they did, that you could basically create like a mini Laura. So if you guys don't know what Lauras are, they're basically, oh God, I probably shouldn't be explaining this.
Even just like a brief, it's like how even like a use case for Laura.
A use case. Okay. So like Stable Diffusion has like a base model, right? And it's a very broad model. Or like, let's say you're working in Midjourney. It's a very broad model, right? It's you type in things, but you can't necessarily, like I couldn't type in my face and it wouldn't know my face. I wouldn't be like, make a picture of Amelie, and it wouldn't do it. Allura basically allows you to, it's not exactly a fine tune. I don't want to get into the essence of it, but it basically allows you to train something that then you can put on top of that base, right? and it will then nudge that base towards more of what you want. So I could train a LoRa on my face. I would add that to the base, right? And then when I ran the it would create things with my face. I mean, it wouldn't be exactly perfect, but it would be close to it, right? So it's a way to sort of like nudge something in a direction. You can do it with objects, you can do it with styles. Like, you know, if you are an artist and you have a bunch of work that you have done over the past decade and you're like bummed that AI can't like recreate it, you could train a LoRa on your style and basically use AI to iterate off of like your style and continue and keep your own voice and things like that. So that's kind of where that comes in. And that little comfy thing was like, but you know, training a LoRa obviously takes smarts. I mean, not really, but it does.
When you
it's
say
hard.
it, is it like the same as training a model?
It's very
The
similar.
same
And
thing?
there are things out there now, like we've gotten to a point like where there are things out there now where there's like I think Civitai has an on-site LoRa trainer. Where you can just like throw a bunch of things in stable stabilities, you know, just put out a beta for their fine-tuned service. There's a bunch of fine-tuned services out there that you can utilize. You don't need to have like the coding genius in order to go in and do it. But you know, also the more you know and the more advanced things you know about it, the more you can tweak them and sort of make them more better to what you're looking to do. But anyway,
I do want to mention though, before I forget,
yeah.
Leonardo just added their elements.
Oh,
there.
yes.
I use that, and those are LoRa's, right? And you can change the strength of. You can use more than one LoRa. Now you'll use all your Leonardo credits very quickly.
Yeah.
But but it does put it. That was a good learning experience to see how it worked and how much influence you could put on it. It's different than just control net by itself or different models.
Yeah.
And Adam, I think if you wanted to add to this, please
because
do.
I just saw them announce that, but I haven't played with it yet.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's like 15 of them at
Nice.
least. Hey, Adam.
Hey, guys, hey, ladies in space. Yeah, I first of all, thank you very much, Heather, for bringing me up on the stage. There's a ton of talent in this room. I'm not going to name names, but lots of awesome people in here. And I personally work, the name of the space, I guess, is generative AI, but I work with LLMs. And most, I would, not to generalize, but most of the people in this space are probably amazing graphic designers, couple decades experience, whatever, right? So I'm going to pose a question, but I'm going to say a couple comments first, if you don't mind. So one is going back to, I think it was it Greg? I think it was. Anyway, super awesome tech. I have a ton of questions for him as far as the music and actually how the AI breaks it down.
I got to interrupt a little bit just to make sure we stay, because I want to.
Or yeah, staying on topic.
Like if we're talking about
exactly,
fusion,
I apologize. So
no. I just want to make sure we get swing back.
Okay, so staying on topic. So LoRa's are so exactly right. I think it was Salma said it. So it's fine tuning, right? And you can essentially, as we all know, it's all it's the data set. So and then you can fine tune on top of that. And it's actually perfect timing. Again, thank you for bringing me on stage, because my question is, what I'm interested to know, definitely in like the people that play with Stable Diffusion or that's your workspace, do you, I guess what we would call unrestricted models, right? Because you can eliminate the restrictions, or some people would even call it bias, even though that's not exactly a correct, I mean, that exists as well. But does that impact the work that you guys do, and how do you think that's going to play out in the future as far as refusals I mean,
I think it might be a while before we get to that because we're kind of still naive on different models and things like that. So that's
Are
why
you
I had
talk?
Emily kind of trying to explain. I know some people here are familiar with it and they've used
well, I
it,
mean,
Tristan,
and no, real
but
quick, to simplify, like, so let's say, for example, we were to ask Stable Diffusion or Firefly or something, whatever, to produce an image that maybe is quote unquote controversial or banned or something where there's a refusal by the AI to actually produce what you told it to do.
well, that would be like a user agreement with content, right? So what?
I think what he's saying is like with MJ, or they have banned words. Is that kind of what you're saying? Like you can't put in like horror child or something.
Well,
Like
like
I don't
exactly,
even
right?
really
I
know.
think no, that's exactly it. So I think it's deeper than that, right? Though, because like let's say like a real world artist like Banksy, right? Or somebody that does controversial, we'll call it art, right? Well, then you have, at least like in the sense of OpenAI and ChatGPT, you have refusals where it's not a free giving of information. Like it's not, or at least I would imagine like MJ or other, Stable Diffusion, other ones, that it's I mean, it refuses to
we
produce particular things, right?
just to bring it back through here though, you're I guess we'll have to be a subject for another day because it's going to take a little while to talk about, because I think a lot of times I've run into the issue with certain things with content on different platforms, including within the LLM, where it's just not going to give you. For instance, I tried to get it to ChatGPT, Dolly within ChatGPT to create a schema, an IKEA schematic for a fictional thing. It refused because it said the content.
Branding or copyright, maybe.
Well, I think I can answer a little bit of saying, like, if you're an artist who has work that, you work in horror or you work in like not nice pictures, or maybe you like work with making like, I don't know, like clitoris, statues or something. And you obviously can't do that
Holy crap!
through.
Actually, I'm so sorry. The Stephen King illustration was probably better than the C word. I don't even know how to address that. Holy crap!
I actually know an artist who
That's
makes
hilarious, but
Hey,
amazing,
true.
hey, it woke everybody up.
amazing,
Thank you.
beautiful statues of that, and I love them. But um, let's say you're an artist who has a past of doing art like that, then you couldn't really recreate it, MJ. Like what I was saying before is, so you could then use your art, right, to train a model, and then you wouldn't hit up against those things because you would be able to like nudge. It would be reading that model and using the input images of your art that you've created that you could like work off of. So you would run into those bands in if you were running it locally on your machine through like Comfy
Exactly. And
UI
that's
or
why,
something.
exactly, beautifully stated. And that's why I think it is on topic, because real quick, it was perfect timing. You were talking about LoRa's and fine tuning. And so that's exactly it. Because I'm just curious, like for those that produce art like you guys, a lot of you, do you does that become a barrier? And then you have to like develop a workaround in your prompt, or like come up with some, you know what I mean? Try to outthink the machine essentially because of refusal.
Well, I hope anybody who's has found a workaround or what kind of potential workarounds you have to answer his question, please feel free to drop it in the chat, because I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in that. Just because the people that have the microphone right now might not be, but or they might not have encountered that or needed that for that particular situation. But please share any information you have in the chat, because that would be interesting. And there are quite a few sites that there's platforms that you can use, right? That you can they promote it as being for, I'll say NSFW, but that's not the only thing we're talking about here. It could just be something that is just kind of bothersome, right? And I appreciate that question. Thank you. Go ahead, Tristan.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think Stable Diffusion really is the place that a lot of artists that are encountering problems like that kind of turn to. You kind of alluded to the not safe for work community. I think that's kind of a big community that you'll see amongst the Stable Diffusion community. If you go and check out Civet AI, you'll kind of notice that with a lot of the models that are posted up there. Even this topic has even become like a pretty controversial with Stability AI. So their newest model that they just released called SDXL, they made a decision to basically not train the model on a lot of those like not safe for work images. And the community was a little bit upset about that. But I think Stability AI is really trying to still give like the flexibility of really Stable Diffusion is for one of the allures is that it doesn't have those safeguards, but Stability AI still wants to make sure that, I guess like certain images aren't necessarily like as easy to make with their models. I know they've had issues with like, some of these images in this territory of not safe for work being, just kind of like giving like a bad representation of like AI art, specifically Stable Diffusion. So, but yeah, I mean, Stable Diffusion is really the place to go if you have, a specific art that you're trying to make that you can't seem to get on Midjourney or DALL-E or some of the other platforms, because you really can train, a LoRa or a model on just about anything, and kind of like help you like recreate that. So
appreciate it, Tristan. I'm sorry, Heather. Let me real quick, because I want to clear my name a little bit too. Like which of course it could be construed as you're seeking NSFW images, blah, 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 right? All the naughty or, lawful but awful stuff, right? Or whatever. But at least on the LLM side, which are actually like, so for example, I can ask ChatGPT to give me a recipe to make my own insulin, right? And although it's simply a chemical formula, which it should give to you, it refuses to do so. So, that's like kind of something interesting on the refusal side that at
Well, I
least we
think
see
that's
in.
a good thing though, because
Well, it is, right? I
yeah.
mean, it is, right? Because you don't want, I mean, of course, you don't want people.
No. So I think like as far as
Exactly.
the refusal, because of the way these models aren't out there, they're not supposed to be used in the way that you would take their information as correct or accurate, right? And they put all
I
those
mean, it could
disclaimers in.
actually, we're actually in a very dangerous time right now with
Right,
that,
but
with
that's exactly why
hallucinations and
I
things
hope.
like that.
Right, but the
Pardon me.
hallucinations, I think that's said. I want to make sure people understand when people are saying the word hallucination. A lot of people kind of take that as, well, you're going to get hallucinated information back, and that's not true necessarily. But
Exactly.
like we're saying, but for the insulin, I'm a pharmacist, so I'm going to. But for
Oh, I didn't
anything
know that.
else,
No.
no,
Well, it was
yeah,
an
I'm a
interesting.
pharmacist for 20 years.
Okay, so it's
But
an
what I was saying
interesting.
is, but
I'm
like
sorry,
for
pardon
the
me.
refusal is that because I do got to move on a little bit further, but like
Sure.
because we need to think about these tools. Never forget they are not meant to be a tool that we use to give us exact answers, and we can't approach it like that. And even for the image generation, same thing is with ChatGPT. There's certain things that we can't expect it to make, and it shouldn't be that way because of the danger of people being able to put whatever they want together. So I'm glad there are refusals for a lot of different things right now, because people would just take it too far. And I mean, you can imagine, even if it's you don't intend it to be used that way, there's people that will. There doesn't only takes a few people to come up with something crazy. But then once you get it stuck in their mind, or if people start noticing, or say they come up with an insulin and it works, and or whatever, I'm just using that as an example, the other people are going to start doing it. You're not going to be able to change their mind that that's not going to work. And as far as for the images, yes, some people, the clitoris, sure, they will have a statue of that. But then other people, are going to take it farther and have something that is, despicable or, hateful. And I figure it's better that I think it's a little better if they limit broadly instead of just picking certain little things here and there. But I do appreciate the ability for, as far as like for Stable Diffusion, I wanted to ask Emily before it gets too late, because we are almost on 2 hours. I thought we were going to end earlier. But if, say, I wanted to get started right now, I do not have Stable Diffusion on my desktop. So if I wanted to use Allura, if I wanted to go on Comfy UI, Civitas, what do I do? Do I have to install Stable Diffusion?
Well, I mean, there's a couple things that you can do. One, you could, if you wanted to just test the basic models, you could. My GPS is playing in the background. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, I know that you had to go. That's what I'm trying to hurry up here. Thank you.
No. That's fine. You could go to, obviously, you could go to Dream Studio, which is Stability's site. It's, it's where you could go on and you can generate images using their basic, I believe it's SDXLs on there right now. But if you want to use locally, I would, and if you're into the Comfy UI workflow, I would say go to Scott Detweiler's YouTube page. I think it's DETWEILER. I had to send you a link, but I am driving right now.
Oh, no, don't worry. We'll get it in there.
And just go to his Comfy UI playlist. And he will have, and there's a couple, at the beginning of the playlist basically says how to install it, how to install your first, checkpoints, the basic Stable Diffusion checkpoints, etc. And he'll walk you through the whole process. And basically, you're just putting it on your machine. Now, you could run into problems because when you're doing things like using Comfy, you are using your local machine, right? So if you have a Mac that doesn't have an M1 chip, or if you have a PC that has a GPU that's smaller than, you might be able to do a 2090 on there. I don't know. Maybe Tristan has more information. I have a 3090. But you could run into some issues with basically, what hardware you have on your machine. And if that's the case, then you can run these programs also on Run Diffusion. I think that's what Tristan was going to say, which is basically a platform where you can sort of like it's like hire a GPU, or it's basically a place where you don't have to use your own machine's power in order to do it. I don't know. Maybe Tristan has more information. I don't use it because I do use my local. About
do you use
price
that within
points on
Discord? Like, do you have to go?
No. Run Diffusion, it's its own thing, and no, none of this is through Discord.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. I was just about to say that before you brought it up, but because I have a Mac, and I don't know if anyone's tried to install Stable Diffusion on a Mac, but it's kind of difficult.
I didn't yet. I have a Mac M1, but still.
Right. Yeah. So I use Run Diffusion. There's other cloud like service providers as well, but Run Diffusion is pretty nice just because they upload everything for you. So they make it easy where you can just kind of go in there and literally pick like what you want. So you can load up Comfy UI, you can load up Automatic 1111, which is just another UI for using Stable Diffusion. They have all sorts of stuff down. They're constantly adding things. So what's nice about using like one of these like services like this is that I get to kind of just like lay back, and they have a great community in there that is very willing to help you like learn the different tools, and they kind of update stuff as new things come out. So I don't even really have to pay too much attention to like, what's the newest thing that came out, or like, the newest update of Automatic 1111 or Comfy UI. They just automatically update it for you, and you can just go in there and select it and just run it. And it's pretty affordable. It's not too bad. It's definitely more affordable than, trying to buy like a $2,000 computer to be able to run Stable Diffusion. So
that was my mistake. And I think I'm still going to have to use Run Diffusion because you run out of space. You can't have Comfy and Automatic and Invoke all on your C drive. It just blows it up. Oh, well.
Right.
And Ray just commented something. He was saying it's easiest to run it on the cloud if you don't have the machine that's powerful enough. Did I miss that? Did you say that you can Run Diffusion? You can run it in the cloud, or is it cloud?
That's basically what Run Diffusion is. It's like
okay,
cloud.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much. That helps. I understand that.
Yeah, definitely for people who are just getting started out, I would definitely recommend it. Because if you don't really know if you're gonna like actually like really dive into Stable Diffusion and use it consistently, then investing in like a hardware which is probably going to run you pretty expensive, like I said, in the $2,000 range, like it's a low investment to just kind of get started on like a cloud service. There's multiple of them. It's not just Run Diffusion, but But yeah, I would definitely recommend going that direction.
You were saying that it's going to cost, you have to get a different, it's going to cost you to run it on Run Diffusion. Is that what you're saying? Because of the...
Well, yeah, so it does cost to run on Run Diffusion, but it's really cheap. So I think it's like, I think you pay like $1 an hour or $1.25 an hour for like the largest like GPU that they have to offer, which is going to be more than enough than what you need to be able to generate images quickly. For comparison, if you were to buy your own computer with that size of a GPU, you'd, like I said, you'd probably be paying somewhere in the range of like $2,000 to $3,000, if not more.
Well, that makes sense. So we're like borrowing the storage, like for my M1, it's
right.
I'm always out of storage.
Exactly.
So I could do it on there and just pay depending on what I'm going to be generating. Right. And they'll just send you invoice, like bill you similar to like OpenAI, the API and those kind of things.
Yeah. Yeah. They do it off of like time spent. So if you are in there for kind of like you load up a box, they call it, or like a GPU for an hour, they bill you per hour. But like I said, it's only about $1 an hour. So it's pretty affordable. And like I said, there's just other benefits to doing like running Stable Diffusion in the cloud, being like the community, like in the Discord server, they're very helpful. There's so many talented people in there, so you can really learn a lot from just asking questions. And then also just the fact that you don't actually have to update all of the different pieces of software, because there's constantly new extensions coming out or new updates to like the UI. And so what's nice is you kind of just get to let them take care of that, and then you just come load up your like your GPU and just get to use it.
Okay, that's very cool. So maybe I can get on that this week. Huh. So, well, thank you all. Thank you so much for explaining that. That is helpful. And at least it's an option for a lot of us to get out of, we don't have to use a certain app or tool. We can still take advantage of. There's a ton of information out there about using these different tools. So I think that encourage people to take a look. If you know of anything else, please put it into the chat. I really appreciate all this detail. Because I think that we have to get used to learning how to use different things to finish the job. We don't just have to only be on a one track of that. So thank you. I appreciate that. I am going to start to wind down some. I see Tony. Thank you for putting that in there for Get IMG. That's a good point. Get IMG. There's a lot of platforms that have popped up lately. Is Mirrorize here? I do want to mention Mirrorize. I saw them earlier, but they are also Get IMG is a good platform. Mirrorize, they have a text to music generator. Not only can you make images, they have a text to music generator. I did use it the other night, and you can choose from different lengths of time, but there's all kinds of things you can do. They even have a list of prompts that you can use for music generation, which I never know what to use. And Emily, I think you posted something about that too. For like Stable Audio has something where you could get ideas for what you want, type of music you want to put in there. So there are plenty of resources out there. Heyo, I think Heyo AI, they have face swappers. There's all kind of tools out there that have that. And I saw one the other day that was a free one. So take advantage and look around and see which platforms you're working on. And there's plenty of little platforms and free apps that can do a lot of things on mobile or desktop. But I did want to mention, Alie, I almost forgot, but you're going to be presenting. Sarah, thank you for dropping that in there. She's going to be presenting at the Generative AI Business Conference in San Francisco on October 23rd. Do you have the mic? You want to say something?
I believe it's also free online. So if you're not in the area, you should be able to tune in online. But if you're there, come say hi.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's going to be quite a few people there, right?
Yes.
Robert Scoble, yes. I think M will be there from Scenario and a bunch of different people. So
Luma AI, Nem is going to be there about the Terminator.
Oh, yeah.
Traxi, like, yes, lots of people.
So definitely check that out. And like the Terminator project, we're still working on that. Taylor, I didn't realize you were doing a scene. I think they still have a few scenes that are remaining that they need people to, if you want to help get this project to completion, They're out of 50 scenes. I think there's a few more that are still out there. So if you are capable of putting together, it's not enough time to train anybody how to do it. But if you know how to make a small, 2 or 3 minute clip, Taylor can give you any more details on the difficulty level. They would appreciate it. And this is all, it's not for payment. This is just for to get recognized for your work and our ability. And they're going to start, once they put it out there as a complete project, try to get it into some AI film festivals, and we'll all have our names under this project. So take advantage of that. I will mention, I'm still
Yeah,
trying, I'm gonna go around. Go ahead,
I
Taylor.
was just gonna add to, yeah, I'm excited. I jumped in it a couple weeks ago when we talked about it on the space, and it is a really cool group of creators. I'm trying to hunt down, or if you can, Heather, hunt down the tweet. We can pin it up here at the top. Maybe add it to the replies as well so people can see it later. But really great group of creators. The project organizers, Nem Perez and Sway Molina, have done a fantastic job of organizing the project and getting kind of like scenes and things like that divvied up so you can kind of select a scene. And I think really the only criteria is that you get a scene number assigned, or you select it from whatever is remaining, and it is a parody, so it correlates with the original film. And it's a couple minutes, like a minute to 2 minutes or something in that length. And the only requirement is that you have to recreate it using AI tools.
And
And it
they
can't be
don't
like
want you to use,
original
don't
material.
use any, no original material from the actual movie. No sound bites or images or anything like that. What we're creating is all organic based on what we're doing. And there's a whole bunch of the people in this room right now. Tony, I see Tom, Mars, who else down here? I'm skipping people and I apologize, but there's a bunch of people in this room right now who are all working on that. And Coffee Vectors, I see you there too. Thank you. Hello. And we've also been collaborating with Genmo and Pika, given access to the creators to use the the watermark free area so that they can generate images and videos without having that watermark. But there's a lot of great information on there, Taylor, right? The assets and different resources you can use that you found on there. People have
Yeah.
some LoRa's and different things they've developed for specifically for that.
Yeah, I was actually working on my scene today, and I had a conversation with someone, and I was like, if anything, this is just a really great experience in, learning these tools firsthand, flexing them to kind of see what they're capable of, just sort of on the fly, and seeing if they're able to kind of bring a vision to life without dedicating hundreds of hours like a regular production film. So I think it's a really neat thing, and it's cool that there's so many familiar faces in the community that are part of this project too. So I think like when it all comes together at the end, I know Nem he's a filmmaker himself, and he has experience. He lives in Hollywood, and so has done a lot of these bigger productions. And so for him, this is kind of just a really fun project, but he's definitely going to like bring all the secret sauce to getting it, post-produced and stitched together. So I'm really excited to see what it looks like in its final form.
Yeah, Sway's and he was a professional actor, and just different the way that the scenes and the script and dialogue. Then anybody could be a part of this, but there are quite a few people with directorial and producer experience, design experience that are working on it, and people like me with pharmacists who made a poster that, thank you, Taylor, whoever put that up there, one of my Arnold posters that I have there, and that's all AI generated. It's a lot of fun, and it's a cool experience to be a part of. We'll have more and more of these. I know like Runway has a couple different things that are happening as far as with competitions where you could submit for, like, I think there's one where it's just a short clip. You reply to that post and you can do that, get a chance to be shown. Then Runway also has the Gen 48 thing, and Thomas is here. What's up, Thomas? And we have applied. We are a team, and we're going to create a movie over a 2-day period, and you get 300,000 credits. We got approved for our team. It's a team of 1 to 3 people, and you get to use Runway's credits and different resources, and they'll give you 48 hours to create a movie. I'm not sure if they're going to give us a certain prompt or not, but I think we can start working on it soon. And it's just a cool experience for, I think it's a cinematic film that we're going to be making, but look for us to take that prize. I forget. I think the prize is, oh man, I can't remember, 5,000 or something like that, but just to see. But it's just a lot of different things we're doing. Hive 3, I'll announce that. I don't think I announced that I'm an ambassador for Hive 3. And that Hive 3, I don't know if Bunch is still here, that is the competitive generative AI competitive league. And it has a cash pot of $250,000. So once that starts for the season 1, we're going to be hosting competitions. I believe it's going to be weekly, and some of these, like the first prize, could be several $1,000s. They're running the contest right now, the competitions during the preseason, and we have several people in this room again who have been submitting work and winning for that. But right now, that usually the number one first place is 500, then 250 and 100. But very soon they were going to do that in January, but the season 1 will be starting probably before the end of the year, within the next few weeks. So as an ambassador, I'm promoting that, and I'm also going to host events. I have an event that will be in Discord on October 19th. So it'll be kind of like a question and answer session. And then I'll have a competition that I'll host a competition, and then the other ambassadors will each host different competitions that will be kind of running. So I won't tell you yet what mine is. We got to wait until we get to that point, but very soon. Lots of corporate sponsors are involved, and it's a pretty cool opportunity. So Hive 3, please pay attention. Nicholas Newbert he's also an ambassador. Tatiana, I don't know if she's on here. She's an ambassador too. I'm not sure about the other ambassadors, but it's a pretty good opportunity. There's just a lot for us to do here in this room, and there's just different. There was an epic prompt battle I saw earlier, Uncut. Had that out there. And I don't mean just to speak about art in different images, because there's a lot of people here who don't necessarily generate images, but that's kind of my thing. So I'm mentioning that, but I want to make sure people think about different ways we can use the LLMs, ChatGPT, different types of tools to help us get to where it helps with all of these little projects, creating scripts, titles. Just how do you do this? What does this mean? Take advantage of it, and don't think that that's for something else. It's not just for writing. Learn something. I dropped into Gprompter, had a workshop today, and on Zoom, and T'Challa was there also. T'Challa, not sure if I'm saying that right, Lewis. But as we were speaking, we were talking about different parts of the prompts, and I didn't know what one word meant. So I popped open my Perplexity AI browser extension inside of Discord and just asked, what does this mean? And I realized these letters, it was an actual artist. I didn't realize that was a person because it was just like WLOP. And I'm glad I checked, because I don't like to use artist names while I'm working on certain things. I just want to try to recreate it without using that artist name. Just my thing. So that's just helpful. But you might want to use it to ask you, what does it mean? What are some color combinations? What are really good complementary color combinations? What does this style mean? How would you write explain what's the point of this part of the prompt? That's what I like to put in. Just drop words in there. Chiaroscuro illumination. What does that mean? Those kind of things. So take advantage of the tools for whatever purpose you have. But I wanted to give everybody a chance before I go here. Alie, thank you so much for coming and speaking. As you've done a lot for the community, and I appreciate that. So if you have anything popping up, let us know. You're always welcome back. I see Amar just jumped in here, and hello, Amar, out there. But he's always doing great things. Chris, thank you so much. And we know that you are going to be going to Adobe Max next week. So congratulations, and please keep us informed. Send us some pictures. I know you will anyway, right? But let us know what's up and anything we can work on. Thank you so much. Taylor, Salma, any last words you'd like to say before we go?
I'll just say this was a great space as always. I always learn so much from this. I now have a better understanding of Laura's. So thank you so much, Amelie, for that. Yeah, no, I like I said earlier in the broadcast, I am going to write up a pretty comprehensive recap of this whole space with all the resources and tags and links. If you look at the first tweet that was pinned, sorry, I keep saying that, the first post that was pinned up here at the top, that there is a link in there to subscribe if you want to snag it. I think I'm going to try to get it out this weekend. And yeah, and Heather will be part of that as well. So that's all.
Yes, thank you for
happy to
that.
have this again. Thanks Heather for hosting.
Oh no, thank you for the recap and thank you for helping me co-host it. I appreciate it. Salma, are you able to speak? You're on the road. Or
Yeah, yeah. Thank you,
and then
Heather.
Chris, you can go out right after that, please.
Yeah, thank you, Heather. Thanks for putting this space together. And yeah, I think you guys pretty much covered everything, from Stable Diffusion to ChatGPT Vision. So yeah, have a lovely weekend. I'm probably gonna drop off now. Have a few things to sort out. But yeah,
Okay, thank you very much, and I'm glad to see Create your project, your product is doing well, and that you've been teaching about using different creating product pictures, images, to use with that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Heather.
And Chris, could you? I didn't know if you could speak or not, but please go ahead.
Yeah, it's always so fun to be able to join in. Heather, thank you so much for consistently doing it. I think it's the most consistent thing in my life is your X Spaces on Friday. I just know that you are always going to be there. Even if you are that tired, you will still find time to do that. So thank you so much. Yeah, I'm super excited to share with all of you next week. And I hope to see Emily in person, because I will be around the area. So hopefully I will share some selfies of two of us with all of you.
It's so fun to see people in person. And then that workshop that I was on, Tom was there, and a couple other people that are in this room. That was just earlier today. Tony was there with G Prompter and I forgot his name from Uncut, but like just looking at all these people, it was like, oh my goodness, I got to see all these people in person. And yes, it's online, but still there's power in that. So when you see people and can touch them, like Alie and I got to meet, and Matt, we were just hanging out, and it's just so cool. I know that Chris, you got to meet Amar in person.
Yeah, I did.
Like, this is so cool.
And Chrissy.
Oh yeah, Chrissy, that's right. I see her here. It's just like our world. We have a small ecosystem, small world here. So we'll eventually start seeing each other, hopefully sooner. I think Salma, I might meet you in a few weeks in the U.S. I'm looking forward to that if she's still on. But yeah, hopefully we can. And Linus, we are talking about. Linus was not able to come. He had a little situation tonight, but he wasn't able to come, but we are planning on, we got to figure out a way to have something in person where we can just put on our own conference basically, or just meeting. So Chris, if you think of anything, anybody here, Amar, did you hear? Please help us out with that planning so we can try to because like we have enough people. Why not? Let's just do something, a little weekend thing or something.
Yeah, we shall also do something as simple as some kind of video chat to just see each other faces. I think voices are great, but we could do like a Zoom meeting.
That's true, because that's what the workshop was today. It was just a Zoom call, but yeah, you're right. That's true. Yeah, maybe we'll have space that's just that. And also, what we were doing today was kind of live prompting, and that was a lot of fun. And just watching, sharing screens and watching the workflow of the other people, along with just an overview of G Prompter's excellent overview, because he is really good. I don't see him in the room with his prompting skills and how to figure out and define different styles. So, and it doesn't matter if it's for Midjourney or anything, but just kind of like how to approach when you put something together.
I really want to see that. I feel sorry I missed it.
Yeah, no, I think they're going to have more though. So, and I think I would like to do that myself because if you, especially if any of the experts here would be kind enough to come in, drop in, and like I came in just for like a 15-minute part, but I ended up staying and watching the rest anyway. And there's so much we can learn just seeing how that person does that and how their thought process is. It just kind of might unlock something in you, right?
Yeah, definitely. Let's do it again, and please let me know when
Yeah.
and if it happens.
Okay, I'm not going to promise to plan it because guys, how I get a little backed up. Taylor, you might have to plan that for us. But
I
I
got
think
you.
that yeah, I'll say it, then be like, oh my gosh, why did I say that? I don't have any time to even think. But yeah, definitely. Well, thank you everybody for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. Spending some time. We covered a lot of interesting topics, and thank you for all the speakers. I apologize for anybody who did not get the mic. No offense, and I did not want to make anybody feel left out. We were trying to adhere to a schedule, but I think we did well because we covered quite a bit, and I think it was very useful information. So thank you for spending your Friday evening, afternoon, midnight with us. Please come back next Friday. Hopefully, Matt will be back from the video conference and different things, and Linus. So, either way, we still have a great crew. And just please be creative and enjoy. And we'll see you next week. Have a good weekend.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.